On Thursday, May 26, 2022, a New Hampshire jury convicted Armando Barron, then 32, of the brutal murder of Jonathan Amerault, his wife's 25-year-old colleague. The crime, driven by intense jealousy and rage, unfolded in a secluded park near the New Hampshire-Massachusetts border. The violence was extreme, extending beyond the fatal shot to investigators' discovery that Armando had forced his wife to decapitate the victim. Prosecutors painted a picture of a motive rooted in simple, deadly jealousy, ignited when Armando found private Snapchat messages between his wife, Brittany Barron, and Jonathan. Brittany testified under oath, detailing her husband's physical abuse, threats, and his chilling demand that she kill Jonathan. She recalled her refusal and his subsequent order for her to step on Jonathan's throat, where she could hear his struggle for air. Amerault, she recounted, pleaded for both their lives, offering to cut all ties with her. Yet Armando was unyielding. He reportedly questioned Jonathan, asking if he still found Brittany attractive, to which Jonathan affirmed he did. Marriage, while a source of happiness, can become incredibly stressful when trust erodes. Infidelity, broadly defined, is estimated to affect up to 70% of married Americans, with the psychological fallout, betrayal, guilt, depression, and family breakdown often leading to divorce. However, in some cases like this one, the situation tragically escalates. Studies show jealousy is a common tool used by abusers for control, transcending simple heartbreak to become a dangerous precursor to extreme violence, even homicide. Jonathan Amerault, born January 27, 1995, in Rangeley, Maine, was a promising biomedical manufacturing engineer who graduated with high honors from Rochester Institute of Technology in 2018. An avid outdoorsman and sports fan, he had conquered numerous New England peaks, including nearly all of New Hampshire's 4,000-foot mountains. He actively shared his outdoor adventures and advice online. Tragically, Jonathan, who had developed feelings for Brittany despite her being married, would meet his final, fatal end not on a mountain trail, but amidst deceit and violence. Brittany and Armando Barron's story began in Las Cruces, New Mexico, where they married as teenagers in 2007 under pressure from Armando's religious mother. They soon had 3 children and later moved to Jaffrey, New Hampshire, hoping for a new start. Brittany became the primary provider, working full-time at Teleflex Medical, while Armando stayed home to homeschool their children. However, signs of instability surrounded Armando. He lacked a bank account and registered vehicle, and his employment history was unclear. He had enlisted and then deserted the U.S. Army, a serious offense he avoided court-martial for by receiving an other-than-honorable discharge. By 2020, their marriage was failing. Brittany claimed Armando had been serially unfaithful and physically abusive throughout their relationship, though no charges were ever filed. The situation climaxed on September 12 when Brittany decided to seek a divorce. Armando's response was a violent punch to her face. A week later, on September 19th, he found flirtatious Snapchat messages between Brittany and Jonathan Amerault on her phone. Their communication had progressed from Facebook to text and then Snapchat. Brittany admitted to intentionally logging out of her phone to hide her conversations with Jonathan and meeting him outside of work once at a park in Peterborough. During this meeting, she told Jonathan she could only offer friendship and needed to get to know him better, though she acknowledged considering the potential for a relationship. She confirmed she had told him she had asked Armando for a divorce before their park meeting. Brittany described Jonathan as kind, sweet, and funny, a playful side not evident at work. She found him really cool outside of the workplace. There was a physical interaction between them at the end of their park meeting. Just 2 days after their second case, on September 21st, Jonathan Amerault was reported missing by state police after failing to appear for his shift at Teleflex. His mother, knowing her son's responsible nature, grew worried when she hadn't heard from him for nearly 2 days and contacted police for a welfare check. Officers found his home empty and his Subaru Impreza missing. Teleflex staff confirmed his absence and mentioned rumors of a romantic relationship between Jonathan and Brittany Barron, who had also missed work that morning but had called in to resign. This information led investigators toward Jaffrey, New Hampshire, and the Barrons' multifamily residence. Detectives initially spoke with Armando's mother, who claimed Brittany and Armando were hiking in northern New Hampshire and she was caring for their children. Later that night, officers found Armando at the residence. He claimed Brittany had gone camping with friends Sunday morning, and he had dropped her off near Temple Mountain before driving nearly 200 miles to Errol due to marital distress. He asserted they had exchanged texts until that morning. However, a different story emerged from Brittany's close friend, who shared group texts from Sunday and Monday where Brittany expressed she wouldn't see her children soon, was moving to New Mexico, and had a new job. She also messaged Jonathan directly, stating she needed distance from Armando and couldn't communicate with him anymore, while remaining evasive about her location. Nearly a day after Jonathan was reported missing, 2 hunters in Wayside Park discovered a tent near their bear baiting area. A woman with sunglasses and a dog emerged, claiming ignorance of the hunting site and camping restrictions. The hunters reported the trespassing to Fish and Game. Later, 2 officers found the woman, identified as Brittany Barron, near the tent. She had a pistol pouch on her waist and a large tarp covered with branches nearby. As she gathered her belongings to leave, she quietly stated she was in big trouble. An officer noticed drag marks leading to another tarp shaped like a human body. Brittany was detained and taken to the Berlin Police Department for questioning. Back at the campsite, officers lifted the first tarp to reveal Jonathan Amerault's gray Subaru. The second tarp concealed a decapitated human body. Under questioning, Brittany began to reveal the horrifying details of Armando's plan to kill Jonathan. In court, Brittany recounted how Armando used her phone to lure Jonathan to the park in September 2020. She described Armando's relentless assault on Jonathan upon his arrival, including stomping on his face. She then detailed how Armando allegedly forced her participation, demanding she kill him. After her refusal, she testified, Armando ordered her to stand on Jonathan's throat, where she could hear him struggling for air. She stated that Amerault begged for their lives, promising to cut all contact with her, but Armando was unmoved. She claimed Armando then forced Jonathan headfirst into the back of his own car. According to Brittany, Jonathan's last words were about expecting to be allowed to live before Armando shot him 3 times. Following Brittany's statement, authorities quickly sought to apprehend Armando Barron, not only for domestic assault but also due to concerns for the safety of their daughter, who might have witnessed some of the violence. A be on the lookout alert was issued, and Armando's phone was tracked heading north towards Errol. A detective contacted him, and Armando returned the call defensively from a different number when asked to come to the station to discuss Brittany's disappearance. He questioned why police were looking for Brittany when he had been fired multiple times without such a response. The detective explained a missing person report required physical verification. Armando claimed he last spoke to Brittany on Monday at 5 p.m. He initially refused to meet, citing camping plans and needing to explain the situation to their daughter. He eventually agreed to drive to Jaffrey but never appeared. His phone was tracked moving in the opposite direction, indicating he had no intention of cooperating. On September 23rd, Armando's Jeep was found abandoned. That morning, police searched the Barron residence. Armando's mother said he wasn't home and was stockpiling food due to COVID, claiming he and his daughter had gone grocery shopping the previous day. However, another vehicle, a gold Toyota Tundra registered to her boyfriend, was missing. The truck was soon located and stopped with Armando driving and his daughter as a passenger. In plain view, police found bags of topsoil, quick-dry cement, a shovel, and a blue tarp, but no groceries. Armando was arrested for assaulting Brittany, with officers noting scratches and dried blood on his wrist and forearm. He requested legal counsel after being read his rights. Their daughter, interviewed by a forensic specialist, confirmed her parents had argued but said her grandmother had moved her before she saw anything else. Later that day, Brittany led police to Annette Wayside Park, where they recovered Jonathan's personal items and located the shallow grave where his head had been buried. An autopsy on September 24th revealed bruises in Jonathan's mouth and on his face, and a distinct shoe impression on the right side of his head. supporting Brittany's account of being ordered to step on his neck. The cause of death was a gunshot wound to the head, ruled a homicide. The same day, Brittany Barron was arrested, not for murder, but for her involvement in the cover-up, facing 3 counts of falsifying physical evidence for cleaning Jonathan's car, wrapping and dragging his body, and decapitating him. The same prosecutors who handled her case were at Armando's trial. As part of a plea agreement, Brittany pleaded guilty to the falsifying evidence charges and had already been released from prison before testifying at Armando's trial, having met with prosecutors to prepare her testimony. Though not charged with murder, Brittany Barron's actions in concealing the crime led to multiple felony charges, including abuse of a corpse. Her cooperation and testimony were central to the state's prosecution of Armando. At trial, the prosecution relied heavily on Brittany's account, presenting a chilling narrative of Armando's control, violence, and planned killing driven by rage, jealousy, and a desire for control. They stated that on September 19, 2020, 3 people entered the woods. 1 lured, 1 forced at gunpoint Brittany, who emerged beaten and bloody, and the defendant, who went with intent to harm and kill. Autopsy diagrams showed the extensive injuries to Jonathan's head inflicted after he was beaten, cut, and stomped, with an X-ray revealing the 2 bullets Armando fired. The prosecution contrasted the victim's state with Armando, who showed no injuries, emphasizing that pictures told the story of who was beaten, who was beating, who had the weapon, and who was in control. The defense offered a counter-narrative, acknowledging Brittany's role in the cover-up but claiming she was the real murderer and that the wrong person was on trial. They argued Brittany had a motive, had lied to investigators, and that Armando was absent during the killing, highlighting inconsistencies in her statements. After days of impactful testimony and graphic evidence, the jury deliberated for only 3 hours. They returned guilty verdicts on all counts, finding Armando Barron guilty of first-degree murder and kidnapping. The following day, Armando Barron received a mandatory sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole for first-degree murder. He also received an additional 45 to 135 years for related charges, including kidnapping and criminal solicitation. Jonathan Amerault's father, Kenny, delivered a calm but impactful statement to the court, calling Armando a murderer, a butcher, and a coward who ambushed his son. He referenced Armando's comment about owning a revolver called the Judge, and noted that another judge was now determining his future. He mentioned the unused fast-setting concrete Armando bought, adding that where he was going, he would have ample concrete to express his frustration. He concluded that the only positive was Armando's relative youth, ensuring a very long time in deterioration and incarceration.